Hello everybody, this is Dr. Willow Ariella coming to you almost live, almost real time. I wanted to provide some information, overview, thoughts about your readings for week 1. You know, there are so many things in these first 3 chapters that are fascinating, interesting, and really reflects humans and our behavior and our thinking. There are a lot of things that I would love to discuss with you and interact with you about and really, dive deeply into. However, given the time frame of our schedule, that unfortunately is impossible. But we can focus on a few things that I think are particularly interesting. One of them has to do with the overview of the main aspects of social psychology and what it is, which is summed up in that figure on page 4, figure 1-1, constructing our reality, influencing others, and interacting with others. And these are really, the summary is a really helpful thing to reflect on and to kind of get about social psychology. Social psychology is a really great combination of two areas, sociology or social interactions, which focus on a macro perspective, and then psychology, which typically focuses on the individual or the micro perspective. And in social psychology, the design is to kind of bring these two together to focus on how people affect each other, affect themselves, and affect the world. And so in constructing our social reality, what we're trying to do is figure out what things that we see or interact with, how they are, how they relate to us, and then that in turn helps us either confirm or deny or build our social reality. And and then through influencing and interacting with others, all of these components make up social psychology. There are some really important concepts that are reviewed in these 3 chapters, and I just wanted to go over some of them that I found particularly fascinating and relevant in my life. One of them is hindsight bias. We can come across something and then say, oh, I just knew that. Some other concepts that he kind of goes over a little bit, but not in too much depth. Your author relates to research methods. It's important to have a good understanding of what a theory is, what a hypothesis is, the different kinds of methodology that can be used. He also discusses correlation and causation, and this is a very, very important point because people tend to misinterpret correlation as causation. Correlation just means that two variables relate to each other. One may increase as the other increases, or one may decrease as the other decreases, or one may increase as the other decrease. It just means that they're related somehow, but it does not mean that one is causing the other one to increase or decrease. Causation is proving that something causes something else, which actually is very difficult to prove because of so many other confounding possible variables. So it's really important to note that. He also discusses survey research and how the wording and order of questions is very important, which is true, and some other research concepts that are very important for you to know. I'm sure you have had these or will have these in other courses, but again, research is such a huge foundation of any science or social science, so it's good to know those concepts and have a good foundation of those. You're going to be discussing self-schema and self-efficacy, so you'll be learning about those a little bit more in depth. These concepts are just concepts, and they've been debated and discussed. You read we'll read or read quite a bit about self-esteem. That concept has been researched a lot, and so there, are some people who are, thinking that that concept maybe isn't the most accurate one. And so, people are continually challenging whether or not that concept really is a valid one. And as you've read, there are some aspects of self-esteem that aren't that helpful or great, and then there are some that are. But sometimes we, focus on a concept to the detriment of another one that may be more important or relevant. So, keep looking for more research on self-esteem and self-concept. Some other terms that I thought, or concepts that I thought are really important, are self-serving bias. We tend to do things that, or think about things that make us feel good about ourselves. No shock there. Self-serving attributions is another one that we tend to do. Defensive pessimism, I think, people like to do that because that also helps us feel better about themselves or ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with these. It's just a way of, helping us maintain our sanity, basically. And the summing up of the self-serving bias on page 69, those are good to review. Self-presentation, this has been called different things under impression management. We do, other people, like sociologists who focus on individuals, really go into depth about this and look at how we present ourselves, and they liken it to a theater, all the world's a stage kind of thing. So self-presentation, self-monitoring, how we try to present ourselves in certain situations. Chapter 3 is one of the chapters so far that I have found to have some of the most interesting concepts. He talks about on page 77 that one of this book's take-home lessons from the 21st century social psychology is that much of our social information processing is automatic. It's unintentional, and part of what social psychology does is try to bring those out to the forefront, or to bring them out of the automatic so that we can actually learn more about them and see how they actually function in our psychology. Belief perseverance is another concept that is a really important one. And on page 85, he discusses the limits of intuition, and he repeats that subliminal tapes do not work. I don't know, I've listened to a few of those. You probably have too, or have thought about it, but they don't work. It's been proven over and over again. Overconfidence phenomenon, that's something that we tend to overestimate our accuracy. People do it all the time. Confirmation bias, this is a really important one in social psychology. We tend to look for things that confirm our beliefs, and so these just help us be aware of that, although he says social psychologists are still vulnerable to most of these things, even though they study them and know about them. Representative heuristic and availability heuristic, those are ways that we make judgments or make decisions about things, also important to note. I'll continue on another video.